I had not heard of the Epstein Barr virus. I found out that I had a reactivated EBV 5 months ago after several years of going from doctor to doctor. I first experienced strange symptoms a few years ago, namely genital ulcers, that were initially thought to be a sexually transmitted disease. I then had recurrent infections, such as tonsillitis and bronchitis, for several years. This meant that I was often ill. As soon as I caught a cold, it degenerated into asthmatic bronchitis. I saw several doctors and was regularly prescribed antibiotics and cortisone. I met several specialists along the way, including a pulmonologist who tested me for asthma, but found nothing. My lungs were clear. The allergist couldn't find anything either. Since my nose was still stuffy, the ENT specialist recommended a sinus surgery. Chronic dry cough turned out to be a rather painful and annoying symptom, which in fact persisted, alternating with bouts of sore throat and bronchitis. This made me very tired. I was also taking cortisone for my cough. I kept consulting different doctors. I had recurrent episodes for about 3 years. After that, things calmed down a little. However, despite the fact that the allergist had given me plants for my immune system, which helped slightly, I always seemed to be walking a tightrope. During this period, as I hadn't been given a diagnosis, I was rather at a loss psychologically. Moreover, symptoms kept coming back, so I started thinking of myself as fragile. At that time, I was fearful of catching a cold, because I knew my condition would soon deteriorate. Physically, I experienced a feeling of permanent inflammation and symptom-related fatigue, particularly related to the cough, as it prevented me from sleeping. In spite of all these infections, I wanted to get pregnant. Several months went by without success. Hence, I requested fertility tests. My gynecologist reassured me that the test results were normal, that it was all about being patient. But several months down the line, about a year and a half after starting the tests, I still wasn't pregnant. I consulted another gynecologist, who immediately suggested hormone stimulation. Although it was good for me physically, I still didn't conceive. So the gynecologist referred me to a fertility clinic. She also diagnosed me with unexplained infertility and proposed an IVF, in vitro fertilization treatment. I was thus admitted to hospital for an ovarian drilling, which unfortunately caused an internal bleeding. This led to a hospital stay and several months of recovery. As soon as I felt better, I was implanted with the embryos that had been previously frozen. This was done over several months in a row. But despite the good quality of the embryos, each time the implantation failed. After the last setback, the gynecologist suggested further investigation based on immune hypotheses. I was totally unfamiliar with this approach, and she suggested a biopsy. In fact, the biopsy results highlighted immune dysregulation in the endometrial immune cells. and hyperreactivity in particular, which could explain the failed implantation attempts. At this point, my mother turned to her cousin, a general practitioner, for advice. When he saw my biopsy results, he immediately asked me to have a blood test with lymphocyte typing and a virology test to test for viruses. Indeed, he confirmed immune dysregulation in greater detail, highlighting poor interleukin ratios. Well, I don't know. And killer cells way above the norm. And viral reactivation of the EBV, which was causing my immune system to panic. I'm currently completing treatment with microimmunotherapy and awaiting the results of a follow-up blood test that will tell me how I'm doing. The doctor has also just prescribed an anti-inflammatory treatment with micronutrients. I feel better thanks to these treatments. Regarding inflammation, some things have disappeared, especially the tendinitis. I had an allergy as well, probably to sulfites. I noticed that while drinking wine. I've been feeling better over the last 18 months, and my body feels more balanced. I think it's important to tell my story, so that people with symptoms can get immediate treatment. This might avoid numerous pointless treatments and procedures, and will ensure that opportunities are not missed, as in my case, since it took 5 years for me to be treated. It's important to find out and talk about this virus, given the impact it can have on our health and lifestyle choices. Had I been aware of its existence, I would have been more insistent with the doctors when I experienced inflammation and suspected an implantation problem. I had my suspicions early on, but I didn't know. I didn't dare force the issue with the doctors. It's important to be able to screen for viruses, because as we know only too well by now, viruses can do a lot of damage. I also underestimated the impact of viruses. After everything I've been through, I now understand a simple blood test could have given me the diagnosis I never had.